Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, March the 20th, 2022. I hope everyone is doing safe and as well as possible. Another week has gone by, and in my show last week I said that I had a partial flood in my apartment. Well, I'm still trying to get the apartment in order. It's taken some time, but so that's why this is just going to be a short methane update. I'm just really tired and kind of toxified, so I wanted to at least get kind of caught up on methane. I've got 3 days worth of NOAA data to go over, and methane from cams for Saturday, and this is basically just going to be a weekly update. So I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. So here we are. I'm starting on Thursday the 17th, and this is for the 477/469 millibar reading for the Met-1 satellite in the morning. The mean or average was 1917 parts per billion. The high reading was 2526. In the afternoon, the mean was 1921 and the high reading was 2387. Then on Friday the 18th, in the morning, the mean was 1919, the high reading was 2577. In the afternoon, the mean was 1921, and the high reading was 2438. Look how far south these pinks are coming. We normally don't see it like that. And then for Saturday the 19th, in the morning, the mean or average was 1921 and the high reading was 2431. There's a lot of white areas where they have missing data, and there was no data available for the afternoon. See, so the Saturday data is incomplete. So I'll show you on my spreadsheet what we've done. Now last week we had no data from NOAA starting on March the 8th, and then on the 14th we just had one reading. There was no data for the Met-1 in the morning, and then the first day where we had complete data again was on the 15th, and that averaged out to be 1921.5 parts per billion. And at that point we were 21 parts per billion higher than a year ago. And this is our high so far this year, with it on the increase now. And then on the 16th we had a sharp decrease of 3.5. And then on the 17th, that was an increase of 1 part per billion. And on the 20th, another increase of 1 part per billion. And then the 19th was incomplete because all we had was the morning data. So what I did, I took the data for the 18th to use for my weekly data here, since we hadn't done it in a while. So the last time I did this update was on March the 5th, and we were at 1921 parts per billion. And so for the 18th, it was almost 2 weeks, just shy a day. We were at 1920, so that was a decrease of 1 part per billion. But it's kind of holding right around 1920, and that's where we are there. And so I showed you we were 16.5 parts per billion higher than a year ago, and we're 50.5 parts per billion higher than when I started measuring all of this on March the 1st of 2019. So it's runaway now. Oh, there was a good article that I wanted to share. Hold on, let me get that. Okay, so I've got this article that Robin sent me, and this is from Space and Science, and it says holes the size of city blocks are forming in the Arctic seafloor. I don't know how to get rid of. Okay. Anyway, there we go. It goes away. That header goes away there. This was March the 14th. And it says marine scientists have discovered deep sinkholes, one larger than a city block, of 6-story buildings and ice-filled hills that have formed extraordinarily rapidly on a remote part of the Arctic seafloor. Mapping of Canada's Beaufort Sea using a remotely operated underwater vehicle and snip-mounted sonar revealed the dramatic changes which the researchers said are taking place as a result of thawing permafrost submerged underneath the seabed. The changes the scientists observed occurred between 2010 and 2019, during which 4 mapping surveys had taken place, covering an area of up to 10 square miles or 26 square kilometers. So this is on the seabed of the Beaufort Sea. It's the first time an area of submerged permafrost, a frozen layer of Earth's surface, has been surveyed in this way, and it's not known how widespread similar changes are elsewhere in the Arctic. On land, thawing permafrost has led to radical shifts in the Arctic landscape, including ground collapses, the formation and disappearance of lakes, the emergence of mounds called pingos, and craters formed by blowouts of methane gas contained in the permafrost. These extreme features have affected infrastructure such as roads and pipelines. Oh, we've also seen buildings falling down with the permafrost thawing. We know that big changes are happening across the Arctic landscape, but this is the first time we've been able to deploy technology to see that changes are happening offshore too. This is from marine geologist Charlie Paul, a senior scientist at Monterey Bay Aquarium Research Institute, and one of the lead authors of a study on the phenomenon published Monday in the peer-reviewed scientific journal PNAS. Clearly, such large changes would have significant implications for any infrastructure that might be placed on the seafloor. Currently, there is little infrastructure in this remote region of the Arctic. However, this may change as continued warming makes the region more accessible. Unexpected. About 1/4 of the land in the northern hemisphere is underlain by permafrost, Paul said, including large areas under the sea. This is because at the end of the last ice age, around 12,000 years ago, large swaths of permafrost were submerged as glaciers melted and sea levels rose. In the 10 square mile or 26 square kilometer area of study, mapped in 2010 and again in 2019, the researchers found 41 steeply sided holes in the more recent mapping that weren't there before. The holes were roughly circular or oval shaped and averaged 22 feet or 6.7 meters deep. The greatest change was a depression 95 feet or 29 meters deep and 738 feet, 225 meters long, and 312 feet or 95 meters wide, around the size of a city block made up of 6-story buildings. That's a huge area. The research team has found numerous hills, typically 164 feet or 50 meters in diameter and 33 feet, 10 meters high, that contained ice. They are similar to pingos, ice-filled mounds found on land, the study said. Surveys of smaller areas of the seafloor took place in 2013 and 2017, allowing researchers to understand the changes in finer detail. Look at that. Massive sinkhole development over just 9 years. Well, this is from methane blowouts. We see this on cams all the time where it's coming up, even through the sea ice. Evgeny Shuvalin, I don't think I said that right, a research scientist at Skoltech in Russia who has studied the Siberian permafrost, said it was surprising to see changes like these occurring in such a short span of time. Permafrost degradation is a slow process. We're usually talking about centimeters per year. This here is more than merely degradation. It's also a qualitative change. So I would say that yes, it is unexpected to see. Hypotheses have been voiced in the literature concerning the possibility of such processes, but this is the first time they have been directly observed. Rapid changes. Massive craters have been discovered in parts of the Russian Arctic that formed when the buildup of pockets of methane gas in the ground spontaneously exploded. Now I've already reported on this. However, the Beaufort Sea researchers ruled out a similar origin for the marine sinkholes they discovered. The team didn't find rocks and earth on the seafloor that would have been scattered by such an explosion. Plus, brackish or slightly salty water near the seafloor suggested the seawater was mixed with groundwater, and the submarine permafrost wasn't a sealed system which overpressure could build up, nor did they detect significant amounts of methane in the leaking groundwater, so they don't think it's methane. We do not have evidence that the rapid changes in this area are associated with explosive events. Well, I tend to disagree. And then the role of climate change and so on. So I'll leave a link below to this article. So in any event, the permafrost is thawing in the seafloor, which we know, and we also know that there are pockets of methane that are stored in the seabed, and it could be that, you know, they found an area that there weren't huge methane deposits, and it's just permafrost, because the Beaufort Sea is over here off the coast of Alaska and Canada, while Natalia and Igor, their research is done on the Russia side, and so they have found pockets of methane in the seafloor, whole bunch, and all along here in the Laptev Sea and the East Siberian Sea, and some in the North Kara Sea, also in the Barents Sea. So, and this study was from 2019, so we're 3 years out from that. So now we'll look at the CAMS data. I have Saturday the 19th up. Arctic view and surface level here. Here's our color ledger. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period is Sunday through Wednesday. Now, look how Komsomolets has calmed down. After 2 years of billowing here, all of a sudden, there's nothing huge to speak of. Well, they've got some yellow, but not the dark color. So, I don't know what happened there. That seems curious to me. Now we're seeing high readings here at Koktovik, Alaska, and see it flings out. See, it goes towards Canada, and then it flings out and goes the other way towards Russia. We've got high readings coming across Russia here. Also streaming up from the UK in the North Sea. Now we'll go to the North Pole view. So here Germany is just totally filled up, in the UK. Watch, here it goes. And see now, look at it streaming up in the North Sea. And then it goes all the way across to Russia. Here's the Persian Gulf. Here's India filling up. Now, see, it's not streaming over in the Bengal Bay as much. Now here's China. That looks a little bit less in China. It's not just the solid dark color. Now here in North America, from Texas east, just depending on the day, they've got really high readings. Here's North Dakota, and then California. See the stream, the wave coming out. Here comes another wave coming out from North America. Whenever you see those huge waves, and see we've got waves billowing out from China, coming all the way across the Pacific. So whenever you see those waves like that, that's a sign of very high methane. Here we're seeing it stream out from Saudi Arabia. And happy spring. Today is the first day of spring. So okay, here's the Antarctic. And we should get a report soon from National Snow and Ice Data Center as to the maximum ice extent in the Arctic and the minimum in the Antarctic for this year. Look at it streaming off of South America, and see it's still coming up here around the Brunt Ice Shelf, and also here at the Amory Ice Shelf and on the north end. Look at this. That's the Larsen B Ice Shelf. And we're not seeing any navy blue, which was a lower reading, which was 1800. So the lowest background color we have is this lighter blue, which is 1820 parts per billion. Now we'll go to the global view. See, it's high here in the southern tip of South America, and then in the interior, mainly in Brazil. See the high readings there. And the green is the main background color for the northern hemisphere. See how far south that green comes. Here in the Atlantic, and then here in the Indian Ocean, and then it's a little bit higher up in the Pacific there. And here's 500 HPA. See the dark right over the Arctic. Look at this red streaming down from South America. And now total column. Here we are. So we've got some spots here in China where it's the highest, and here in India, and then up here near Finland it looks like, and also here in South America. And that's my report for tonight. I'm going to keep it short. But I'd like to continuing reading out of Ecclesiastes. We are in the end times. I truly believe that. And if you just look at abrupt climate disaster and everything that's happening, you can see that things are collapsing all around the world, and all the different systems are collapsing, not just climate. And so I think we all need to get our spiritual houses in order, get ready to leave. So tonight we're reading out of Ecclesiastes chapter 5. Keep thy foot when thou goest to the house of God, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart be hasty to utter anything before God. For God is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore let thy words be few. For a dream cometh through the multitude of business, and a fool's voice is known by multitude of words. When thou vowest a vow unto God, defer not to pay it, for he hath no pleasure in fools. Pay that which thou hast vowed. Better is it that thou shouldest not vow, than that thou shouldest vow and not pay. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin. Neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should God be angry at thy voice, and destroy the work of thine hands? For in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also diverse vanities, but fear thou God. If thou seest the oppression of the poor, and violent perverting of judgment and justice in a province, marvel not at the matter, for he that is higher than the highest regardeth, and there be higher than they. Moreover, the profit of the earth is for all. The king himself is served by the field. He that loveth silver shall not be satisfied with silver, nor he that loveth abundance with increase. This is also vanity. When goods increase, they are increased that eat them. And what good is there to the owners thereof, saving the beholding of them with their eyes? The sleep of a laboring man is sweet, whether he eat little or much, but the abundance of the rich will not suffer him to sleep. There is a sore evil which I have seen under the sun, namely, riches kept for the owners thereof to their hurt. But those riches perish by evil travail, and he begotteth a son, and there is nothing in his hand. As he came forth of his mother's womb, naked shall he return to go as he came, and shall take nothing of his labor which he may carry away in his hand. And this also is a sore evil, that in all points as he came, so shall he go. And what profit hath he that hath labored for the wind? All his days also he eateth in darkness, and he hath much sorrow and wrath with his sickness. Behold, that which I have seen, it is good and comely for one to eat and to drink, and to enjoy the good of all his labor, that he taketh under the sun all the days of his life, which God giveth him. For it is his portion. Every man also, to whom God hath given riches and wealth, and hath given him power to eat thereof, and to take his portion, and to rejoice in his labor, this is the gift of God. For he shall not much remember the days of his life, because God answereth him in the joy of his heart. Ecclesiastes chapter 5. So I hope everyone has a good week, and that you're safe, and just taking care of business, getting your house in order, taking care of earthly affairs. And it's easy to get caught up in the drama of everything that's going on in the world and neglect taking care of yourself and your health and your environment. And it's important that we do these things and stick to a schedule and just keep doing a routine, and not get just caught up in all the darkness. And if you have a relationship with God and Jesus, it's a lot easier. A personal one-on-one relationship, and they can guide you and help you, and miracles can happen, and miracles are happening. And you want to know that. You want to remember that. God is here for us, and all we have to do is ask for Him to come into our hearts. God and Jesus. So, I love you all, and I'm praying for you. And until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.